The mockery. The great hall of the Galactic Council was bright with silver light, its walls covered with banners of countless alien empires. On that day, leaders of two powerful fleets gathered, their voices filled with arrogance. They spoke of a new enemy, a species too young, too weak, and too primitive. That species was humanity. An alien commander with scales on his face laughed loudly, his sharp teeth shining. "They build ships like toys, they fight like children, they still cling to their little planet as if it matters," he said. The others joined in his laughter, the sound echoing across the chamber. For them, humans were nothing more than insects crawling in the dark corners of space. Another alien, tall and covered with glowing blue skin, raised his hand. "We have crushed greater foes, empires that stood for centuries, and yet these humans dare to claim the stars. Their colonies are scattered dust, their fleets are rusty metal. We will burn them before they even scream." His words were met with nods and applause. Only one figure in the corner remained silent, a veteran of many wars. His eyes were dark and heavy, his voice slow when he finally spoke. "Do not underestimate them. I have seen their soldiers fight. I have seen how they refuse to kneel even when the ground burns beneath them." But his warning was dismissed. The others mocked him, calling him old and fearful. One commander shouted, "You fear ghosts in the dark, old warrior. But these humans are no ghosts, they are nothing." The council ended with cheers of victory already claimed. They sent messages to their fleets to prepare for war. They spoke of crushing humanity as if it were a simple game. The galaxy was sure the humans would kneel. Far away on Earth, people listened to the speeches carried through stolen transmissions. Young officers clenched their fists. Old generals stayed silent, but in their eyes burned a quiet fire. They knew the truth the aliens refused to see. Humanity was no insect. They were survivors of a world that had tested them for thousands of years. They had fought hunger, cold, storms, and endless wars among themselves. And now, they stood together, against something greater. In a dark war room beneath the surface of Earth, maps of the galaxy glowed on the walls. A human admiral leaned forward, his voice calm but sharp. "They mock us. They call us primitive. Let them laugh. When the time comes, they will not laugh. They will scream." Around him sat men and women with tired faces but steady hearts. They had no illusions of glory. They knew war was death. But they also knew that surrender was not an option. The alien fleets might be larger, might be stronger, yet humanity had something that no calculation could measure: the will to survive. Back. In the council hall, alien fleets were already moving. Two mighty armadas, each with hundreds of ships, each armed with weapons that had destroyed entire civilizations. They moved with confidence, with arrogance. In their minds, the humans were already dead. They celebrated before the battle even began. Their leaders promised the galaxy a show of power. They promised the destruction of Earth as a warning to all who might resist. But in the shadows of the void, human ships were already preparing, their engines silent, their weapons hidden. They carried no banners, no songs, only silence. Because humans knew the dark well. They had lived under its weight for all of history, and now they would turn that darkness against those who mocked them. The alien commanders never imagined that the silence of humanity was not weakness. It was patience. It was the calm before a storm they could not imagine. But still, in their halls they laughed. Still they spoke of humans as insects. Still they promised a swift and easy victory. The veteran alien, the one who had spoken of caution, sat alone in his quarters. His hands shook as he remembered the look in human eyes on old battlefields. It was not rage. It was not despair. It was something colder, something that refused to break. He whispered to himself, "They think humans are primitive, but they do not know what waits in the dark." Outside the windows of the council station, stars burned bright and beautiful. None of the alien leaders knew that soon, in that same dark sky, two armadas would vanish. None of them believed the warning. None of them saw the trap forming. And far away in silence, humanity prepared to answer the laughter with fire. The silent preparation. The alien armadas moved with thunder and pride, their banners glowing in the void, their commanders sending messages of certain victory. But while they celebrated, Earth was silent. It was not the silence of fear. It was the silence of steel being sharpened, of a storm waiting to rise. Deep beneath the oceans, in hidden bases carved into the rocks, human workers tightened bolts and tested engines. In underground hangars, warships rested like beasts chained in the dark, their hulls black, their weapons veiled. The air was filled with the hum of machines, the smell of oil, the quiet voices of men and women who knew this war might be there. Last, no parades, no speeches, only quiet preparation, because humans had learned long ago that noise did not win wars. Silence did. In one secret base on the far side of the moon, a young engineer named Elena wiped the sweat from her face. Her hands shook from exhaustion, yet she kept working. The reactor she watched over glowed faintly, its power enough to shatter worlds. She thought of her family back on Earth, of her little brother who asked her before she left, "Will the aliens hurt us?" Her answer had been simple, "Not if we stand together." That promise guided her hands now. Every screw, every wire was a shield for those she loved. Across the planet, soldiers trained in silence, in forests, in deserts, in frozen tundra. Men and women moved like shadows. They fired weapons without words. They learned to fight in the dark, for they knew the battles ahead would not be fought in sunlight but in cold space where no one could hear them scream. An admiral walked through one of the great underground command bunkers. His boots echoed softly, but the room itself was hushed. Every officer bent over glowing screens, tracking alien fleet movements. Every whisper was measured. Every order carried weight. The admiral paused at the central table, the map of the stars spread out like a chessboard. He stared at the glowing markers of 2 alien armadas approaching. His lips barely moved as he spoke. "They think we will meet them in open battle. They are wrong. We will not fight as they expect. We will fight as only humans can." The Council of Admirals had already chosen their path. Not glory, not honor, but survival. They would not rush into the teeth of alien cannons. Instead, they built traps. Invisible nets of satellites, mines hidden in the void, drones that carried death but looked like nothing at all. The galaxy called humans primitive, but only humans had learned to turn every scrap, every broken piece into a weapon. In the shipyards hidden in the asteroid belt, massive vessels drifted in shadows. They were not beautiful, not shining like alien cruisers. They were ugly armored beasts, built to take punishment and still move forward. Their crews painted the hulls black, swallowing the starlight. One mechanic joked, "Let them try to see us, the dark will hide us better than any shield." No one laughed, but in their eyes there was agreement. The dark was not the enemy of humans. The dark was home. Meanwhile, intelligence officers decoded alien transmissions. They heard the laughter, the arrogance, the promises of destruction. One officer, young and quiet, looked at the words on her screen and whispered, "They don't know us at all." Her superior nodded. "Good. Let them remain blind. The blind fall the hardest." Across human colonies, people prepared in their own way. Farmers gave food to the soldiers. Scientists offered new designs. Children drew pictures of ships defeating monsters. It was not just armies preparing, it was all of humanity. Each person carried a piece of the coming storm. In the quiet of orbit, hidden platforms, armed with missiles, waited, their engines cold, their signals masked. They seemed like drifting rocks, worthless debris, but inside them slept weapons that could split fleets apart, silent guardians waiting for the command. In the training halls, commanders gave no speeches of glory. They told the truth. "Many of you will not return," one general said, his voice steady. "But remember this, every hour you hold the line gives Earth another breath. Every strike you make keeps our children alive. They call us primitive, but they do not understand. Primitive is not weakness. Primitive means we fight with everything we have, even if it is just our fists." And the soldiers listened, their faces calm, their hands tight around their weapons. They did not cheer, they did not shout, but their silence was stronger than any cry of war. In the depths of the night sky, human ships began to move. They left their hidden bases one by one, vanishing into black space. No transmissions, no signals, nothing to betray their course, only silence, endless and patient. They carried the weight of humanity with them, mothers, fathers, children, entire nations watching and waiting. The alien fleets believed humans hid because they were afraid, but the truth was far different. Humans hid because they were hunters now, and hunters did not roar before the strike. They waited, they watched, and then they killed. The silence of Earth was not weakness, it was a blade in the dark. And soon, two mighty armadas would learn the price of mocking those who had survived fire, hunger, and war. The silent preparation was nearly complete, and the galaxy did not yet know it was standing at the edge of a nightmare. The first encounter. The alien armada drifted through the void like a storm of fire. Thousands of lights burned on their ships, their banners glowing as if they already ruled the stars. They laughed across the channels, sending messages to one another about the hunt they were about to enjoy, but the void was quiet, too quiet. No human fleet stood waiting in open space. No challenge was given. The aliens mocked louder. See? They hide in fear, they do not even dare to face us. Their laughter echoed through the black, but beneath it was a faint unease. One alien captain, a sharp-eyed veteran, leaned forward in his chair. His scanners showed something unusual, shadows moving just beyond the reach of his sensors. He frowned. The humans are here, I can feel them. But his crew only smirked. They are rats, nothing more. Soon our cannons will burn them away. Suddenly the first signal appeared, a faint pulse, weak and broken, like the dying breath of a machine. The alien fleet chased it eagerly, believing it to be a lost human scout. But when they reached its location, there was nothing but silence. No ship, no enemy, only empty space. Minutes later, another pulse, this time from a different direction. Again they followed. Again they found nothing. Some captains began to whisper that something felt wrong, but the leaders silenced them. These are primitives. They cannot trick us. They are only running. Yet, the shadows moved again. On the edges of sensors, dark shapes flickered and vanished. Alien crews grew restless. One shouted, "I saw something. A black ship right there." But before anyone could confirm, the shape melted into the void. The first real strike came without warning. A massive alien cruiser suddenly shook as if hit by an invisible hand. Alarm screamed, its engines burst into flame. The crew cried out, "Impact!" but nothing on the scanners. Within seconds, the cruiser exploded, fragments spinning through the dark. Silence followed, heavier than before. The laughter of the armada died in an instant. For the first time, fear touched their voices. How? What weapon did they use? Where are they hiding? Then it happened again. Another ship, then another, ripped apart by unseen hands. Some exploded in fire, some simply went dark and vanished into the void. Alien commanders shouted orders, their voices breaking with anger. Spread out, find them, these humans cannot defeat us. But spreading out only made them weaker. The shadows moved faster, human ships striking like ghosts, no light, no signal, no warning, only sudden death in the dark. Inside one human stealth frigate, a captain whispered to his crew, "Hold the silence. Strike only when I command." His crew nodded, their faces pale but determined. They fired a spread of torpedoes that glided silently through the void. No light, no sound, only death. Moments later, 3 alien destroyers erupted into flame on the alien flagships. Panic spread. The commanders tried to calm their soldiers, but every voice shook. Primitive. Yes, but they are tricksters. They hide in shadows. They are cowards. One shouted. Yet even as he spoke, his sensors officer screamed, "Another one right behind us!" And before they could react, another massive explosion lit the dark. What unsettled the aliens most was not the destruction itself. It was the silence of the humans. No battle cries, no threats, no messages. Only the silent strike again and again. As if the void itself had chosen to fight for humanity. One alien captain, trembling, whispered, "They are not fighting like soldiers. They are hunting us." And he was right. The humans had turned the dark into their weapon. Every asteroid, every shadow, every flicker of light was part of their trap. As the first alien fleet crumbled, the leaders screamed for reinforcements. The second fleet waiting nearby began to move, confident they would crush the human trick. But the surviving captains of the first fleet were already broken, their voices cracked with terror. "They are everywhere, we cannot see them. They kill us before we even fire." In one last desperate act, an alien commander ordered his ship to fire blindly into the dark. Beams of energy lit the void, burning through empty space. But when the light faded, the humans were gone. And then came the final blow. A wave of hidden mines detonated all at once. The blast ripped through the scattered alien ships, tearing them apart in silence. As the wreckage drifted, the void was filled not with human cheers, but with alien screams. The screams of fleets that had laughed only hours ago. The screams of those who had mocked the primitive species. Now lost in a darkness that belonged to humans, and in the shadows, human ships moved again. Silent, patient, waiting for the second fleet to arrive. The first encounter was over, but the true storm was only beginning. The trap revealed. The wreckage of the first alien fleet still drifted in the cold dark, twisted metal glowing faintly from dying fires. The cries of broken ships had faded, leaving only silence. But silence was not safety. It was a warning. Far behind the destruction, the second alien fleet arrived, its ships lined like blades in the night. Their commanders sneered as they looked at the scattered ruins. "They fought like rats, hiding and biting in the shadows, but we are too many, too strong," one said proudly. Another added, "We will crush these humans in one strike and drag their planet into dust." But not all were convinced. Among the alien captains, whispers grew. The first fleet had been mighty, armed with centuries of technology, yet they were gone. How could primitives destroy them so completely? Still, arrogance silenced their fear. Orders were given, and the second armada surged forward. In the shadows, human ships remained quiet. They did not rush. They did not break formation. Every move was calculated, every strike already prepared. For this was no random ambush. This was a trap years in the making. Along the edges of an asteroid field, strange black objects floated silently. They looked like rocks, worthless and harmless. But inside them pulsed cores of deadly power. Human engineers had hidden thousands of mines, each waiting for the right signal. As the alien fleet entered the field, their scanners reported nothing unusual. Their captains mocked again. "See? The humans are weak. They run and hide behind stones." Yet as they pushed deeper, the stones began to wake. One by one, their surfaces cracked with faint red light, a silent web tightening around the invaders. From a hidden command ship far beyond the asteroids, a human admiral spoke softly. "Now." With a single word, the trap was unleashed. The asteroid belt erupted in silence. Dozens, then hundreds of explosions flared at once. Alien ships convulsed under the shock waves, their hulls torn open like paper. Their formations shattered instantly. Commanders shouted orders, but chaos drowned their voices. Out of the darkness, human ships moved like ghosts. Their black hulls reflected nothing. Their weapons fired in silence. Missiles streaked forward with no warning, piercing the already wounded alien fleet. Energy beams cut through the smoke, but they were aimed with deadly calm. The hunters had revealed themselves. On one alien flagship, panic spread. "Shields failing, engines hit," cried the officers. The captain slammed his claw against the chair. "Fire at everything. Kill them all." But his weapons fired blindly into shadows, hitting nothing but empty space. A moment later, his bridge was split in two by a human railgun. Round. The flagship tore apart in silence, drifting into the void. The aliens had expected a battle of strength, but what they faced was a war of patience. Every asteroid hid death. Every shadow held hunters. They fired wildly, but the more they fought, the deeper they sank into the trap. Aboard a human dreadnought, the commander gave calm orders. "Hold the dark, strike in waves, keep them guessing." His crew moved without hesitation. They knew this was not only a battle, it was the survival of Earth itself. Alien commanders begged for reinforcements, but their voices broke into static as one by one their ships fell. The second fleet was meant to be their hammer. Instead, it became the next victim of silence. From orbit above a barren moon, human stealth bombers joined the attack. They dropped swarms of guided weapons that vanished into the dark before reappearing. In sudden explosions, alien cruisers tore apart like glass struck by stone. Their soldiers screamed across the channels, voices filled with disbelief. These are not primitives. They are predators. The trap closed tighter. Mines detonated behind the fleet, cutting off retreat. Human destroyers cut through the flanks, their weapons sharp and merciless. Every alien attempt to regroup ended in more chaos. Their once mighty formation now a broken scatter of burning ships, and still, the humans stayed silent. No shouts of triumph, no cries of war, only the steady rhythm of hunters in the night. For them, this was not about pride or glory. This was survival, and survival demanded silence. The second alien armada began to collapse. Their captains screamed into empty channels, "They are everywhere! We cannot see them!" One last desperate commander tried to ram his ship into a human dreadnought, but before he could strike, hidden torpedoes shattered his vessel into sparks. The admiral on the human flagship finally spoke again. "2 fleets came to break us. 2 fleets are gone." His words were not loud, but they carried weight, because in the darkness silence had already spoken louder than any roar. The trap had been revealed, the alien fleets had fallen, and the galaxy, though it did not yet, know had just changed forever. The turning point. The battlefield was no longer a battlefield, it was a graveyard. 2 alien fleets, once symbols of power and fear, now floated as broken metal and drifting bodies. The void carried no sound, only the silent glow of burning. Wrecks far away in the chambers of the Galactic Council, silence also ruled. The news had reached them, but they refused to believe. "How can this be?" cried one ambassador, his voice shaking. "These were our strongest fleets, centuries of power gone in a single night." But others shouted in denial. "They are humans, primitives. They cannot defeat us. This must be lies, human tricks." Yet no one could deny the endless stream of wreckage now appearing on their own scanners. 2 armadas erased, and the ones they had mocked were still alive. Back near the battlefield, human ships drifted in tight formation. They did not cheer. They did not celebrate. Their crews sat in silence, eyes hollow, hearts steady, for they knew it was not victory yet. It was only survival bought with blood. Inside one human command ship, the admiral stood over the glowing map of stars. He watched the red symbols of destroyed alien vessels fade one by one. His face did not change, but his words were heavy. "They will send more," he said softly. "They will never accept this defeat. We must be ready." Around him, his officers nodded. They were exhausted, but there was no time for rest. Already, new signals whispered at the edges of their scanners. More alien fleets preparing to move. The galaxy was shifting, and humanity had become the stone that cracked its balance. For the first time, the aliens themselves felt fear, not the fear of losing ships, but the fear of facing something they could not understand. How could primitives, who still clung to their small blue planet, destroy the pride of empires? What secret did these humans carry in their silence? On one surviving alien scout ship, a captain sat trembling. He had seen the trap unfold. He had heard the screams of his fellow captains, and in his memory, one image remained. The human ships, black and silent, moving like shadows, not roaring, not boasting, only hunting, he whispered to his crew. "They are not weak, they are not primitive, they are something else." That scout ship escaped, carrying the story of the slaughter, and when it reached the council, the galaxy listened in horror. The report spoke of silence as a weapon, of shadows that killed, of humans who fought without fear. It ended with one chilling line. They did not fight for glory. They fought to survive, and that makes them unstoppable. The council split. Some shouted for peace, terrified of what humanity could become. Others demanded revenge, their pride bleeding too deep to admit weakness. But in every voice, there was something new. Doubt, back in the war rooms of Earth. Soldiers prepared for what came next. Engines roared quietly in hidden hangars. Weapons reloaded. Fleets refueled. No one believed the aliens would stop, but no one believed humans would kneel. Not anymore. In a quiet moment, Admiral Reyes, one of Earth's oldest commanders, spoke to his crew. "We have crossed a line. We can never step back from. The galaxy knows our name now. They will come for us again and again, but let them come. We will show them that the dark they fear has always been our home." The turning point was not only the destruction of two fleets, it was the breaking of an illusion. The galaxy had always seen humans as lesser, as primitive. But now the galaxy saw them as something far more dangerous, survivors who refused to die, hunters who turned silence into a blade, and somewhere, in the dark void between stars, human ships waited again, their engines dim, their weapons cold, waiting for the next move of an enemy that finally realized it had underestimated the wrong species.